We invite you to watch how we clear the views on all matters through our partner station MITV on DSTV channel 255, 7 p.m. daily, and also our YouTube and Facebook pages under one name, Clearview News Desk every day. We call it The People's News, as we are available to come over and cover your events upon notice. Or do you have news you want us to broadcast? Send it in. We verify and go to town with it. All for you. Go ahead, engage us to thrash out those naughty issues on the news. And what we need from you is to share and subscribe. More important, convince your loved ones, friends, relatives, co-worshippers, and more to subscribe so as to be getting notifications as we break the news. Go a step further, like the news, and drop your thoughts on the comment section. Clearview News. We clear the view one time and for all time.
Hello and welcome to Clearview News Desk. We're reaching you live from Nigeria's capital city, Abuja. First, the headlines. American actor and wrestler John Cena reveals his biggest fear, says, "I would never be ready to invest the time needed to be a great parent." A 30-year-old man has been arrested for allegedly defiling a 7-year-old girl in Awka, Anambra State. Canadian-Nigerian woman making threatening comments against Yoruba and Benin people during a virtual meeting on TikTok boasts, "I cannot be deported." I am Florence Joshua with these and more. Following a viral video clip which surfaced online on Tuesday showing a Canadian-Nigerian woman making threatening comments against Yoruba and Benin people during a virtual meeting on TikTok, Canadian-based Nigerian woman has dismissed the possibility of arrest or deportation after the Nigerian House of Representatives urged the Canadian government to prosecute her for inciting violence and genocide against Yoruba and Benin people. In a viral video clip that started trending on X.com this Thursday, Sandberger cited her Canadian citizenship as protection, stating that Canada's legal system is unlike Nigerians, where arrest can be made without questioning. The woman, claiming to be a resident of Ontario, Canada, vowed to harm Yoruba or Benin individuals she encounters, sparking outrage and prompting the House of Representatives to request her prosecution. The House of Representatives has written to the Canadian government, urging it to investigate and prosecute Sandberger for her inciting comments, which it said violates international and Canadian laws. A 30-year-old man identified as Chinoso Nwaboi has been arrested for security operatives for allegedly defiling a 7-year-old girl in Awka, Anambra State capital. Nwaboi, a native of the Easy community in Ebonyi State, was apprehended after the mother of the 7-year-old reported the incident to the Anambra State Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Welfare in Awka. This was disclosed in a statement issued this Thursday by Chidinma, the media aide to the Commissioner for Women Affairs and Social Welfare, Ife Obinabo. It was gathered that the 7-year-old survivor and her twin brother were born to her parents after 10 years of childlessness. Ife said the suspect on interrogation by security operatives had earlier denied the allegation, but later confessed to committing the said crime, but only once. Meanwhile, the suspect will be charged to court after interrogations have been concluded. Do you have a persistent boss who just wouldn't stop sending messages to you on official matters, even after the close of office hours when you've left the workplace or logged off? In Portugal, such behavior is now illegal. The country recently introduced a law that bans employers from contacting workers outside of their regular work hours, either by phone, message, or email. In this special report, Clearview News' Gloria Atta attempts to find out how feasible such a law would be in Nigerian workplace.
Stress can hit anyone at any level of business, be it in a public or private setting. Recent research shows that work-related stress is widespread and is not confined to particular sectors, jobs, or industries. To improve work-life balance, Portugal took dramatic steps recently when the government approved a new set of laws to address the changing trend in the workplace. Under the new labor law, employers can face penalties for contacting their employees after office hours on official matters. The new law also mandates employers to help pay for expenses incurred by their workers on higher electricity and internet bills through working outside the office hours, among others. These new laws were designed to allow workers to distance themselves from the office when they are off and to allow them get the full advantage of their time off. A similar rule gave French workers the right to ignore after-hour business emails in 2017. Other European nations, including Germany, Italy, and Slovakia, have likewise revised their rules, allowing workers to have the legal right to enjoy their time off without having to carry the weight of work around. With a number of countries paying attention on the need for employees to have the right to enjoy their time away from work without distractions, Clearview Television interacted with some Nigerians to sample how applicable such a law would be in the average Nigerian workplace.
What is obtainable in Portugal is also obtainable here. But really, what the disconnect for? If there's an emergency, take for example medical or health professionals, and then there's an emergency, is the law saying that they should not be contacted even though they are not on call duty, right? So we should be looking at the advantages and the disadvantages as well.
I don't think that law will be applicable here. And the reason is this: we know both the rulers and the rule, we are all known for violation of rules and regulation, because everybody does what profits him or her, not what profits the entire public.
I think it will be applicable if the right channel is being applied, because most Nigerians will support this particular law.
To me, it's a foreign idea. Nigeria is built in a unique way. Portugal is built in a unique way. So the environment, the activities going on there is quite different from the activities going on in Nigeria.
Studies have continued to show there is far more work-related stress today than there used to be, and that the stress is constant. It is therefore pertinent for urgent attention to be given to the quality of life employees enjoy. After all, a happy employee is a productive one. Gloria Atta, reporting for Clearview Television.
Troops of the Nigerian military say they have neutralized several high-profile terrorist leaders and commanders of the battlefield in the northeast and northwest zones of the country. The information was disclosed by the Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Edward Buba, at a news conference this Thursday in Abuja. Let's now join Clearview's Gloria Atta for details.
As the fight against terrorism continues across all 6 geopolitical zones of the country, the Defense Headquarters says the ongoing operations of troops across the country have significantly diminished the military capabilities of terror groups and denied terrorists the ability to carry out major offensive attacks against innocent citizens. The Director Defense Media Operations, Major General Edward Buba, at the Defense Headquarters bi-weekly press conference this Thursday in Abuja, disclosed that troops in the northeast and northwest zones of the country neutralized top terrorist commanders and combatants, as well as destroyed their logistics and fighting capabilities in the month of August 2024.
Already we have declared that all these group of persons, their leaders, their commanders, their agents are all dead men walking. When we say that, it is not a threat, but a fact, as we have indeed taken out several of these terrorist leaders and their commanders off the battlefield, as you will soon get to know. For instance, in the northeast, in this month of August alone, we took out the following terrorist leaders and commanders: Munir Arika, Sani Daila, alias Dan Hausawa Jabulalam, Amir Mudu, Dan Fulani Fari Fari, Bakura Araina Chinkal, Dunguzu Abu Dada, and Abu Riyab. This is just to mention a few that were taken out in the Northeast. While in the Northwest, in this month of August alone, we have wiped out from the battlefield Kachala Dan Ali Garim Fadama, Kachala Dan Mani Na Ina, Kachala Basiru Zakaria, Sani Baka Sini, Inusa Zango Kuzi, Ibrahim Tukur, Kamilu Bazaru, and several others taken out in the Northwest in this month of August alone.
The defense spokesman also spoke on the activities of troops in other parts of the country. Worthy of note is the killing of over 1,166 terrorists and arrest of 1,096 suspected terrorists and other criminal elements.
This month, troops neutralized 419 terrorists across all theaters of operations. They arrested 767 suspects while rescuing 448 kidnapped hostages. Additionally, troops recovered 278 weapons, recovered over 11,000 assorted ammunition, and denied the oil theft of an estimated sum of over 4 billion naira during the month of August 2024. The breakdown of our recoveries in the month are as follows. We recovered 149 AK-47 rifles, 49 locally fabricated guns, and over 8,000 rounds of 7.62 millimeter special ammunition, among other items recovered.
The Military High Command noted that troops also recorded notable successes in aerial bombardments across different local government areas ravaged by terrorist activities in the country. The Military High Command assured Nigerians that the military is on high alert and has increased its readiness to protect the country from further terrorist aggression. Gloria Atta, reporting for Clearview News.
Endemic corruption remains the greatest challenge affecting Nigeria's stability, progress and development despite efforts and policies made by the federal government through its anti-graft agency to tackle the menace. In a bid to address the lingering issue which has spanned decades, the Priest, Peace and Justice Initiative, an arm of Palace of Priests Assembly, has called for more actions from citizens and relevant stakeholders to drive the fight against all forms of corruption in the country. The call was made by the General Overseer, Palace of Priests Assembly, Dr. Otive Igbuzo, at a one-day closeout meeting for the Shun Corruption Initiative in Abuja, Nigeria's capital. Clearview's Gloria Atta has the details.
For several decades, Nigeria has struggled with corruption, a sad phenomenon that has swept through all sectors of governance at the federal, state and local levels, leaving devastating effects on the lives of citizens, the economy and quality of public service delivery. According to a 2012 report, the country was estimated to have lost over $400 billion to corruption since its independence in 1960. In 2021, Nigeria ranked 154th position in the 180 countries listed in Transparency International's Corruption Index. In a bid to address this devastating situation, the Priest, Peace and Justice Initiative (PPJ), an arm of Palace of Priest Assembly, initiated the Shun Corruption Project, which began in 2018 to mobilize Christians, especially Pentecostals, to join the fight against corruption in Nigeria, with the support of John D. and Catherine T. MacArthur Foundation. Speaking at the closeout meeting for the project on Wednesday in Abuja, PPJ General Overseer and Director of the project, Dr. Otive Guzo, said since the project kicked off 7 years ago, the country has witnessed a shift from individual actions to collective efforts within the Pentecostal community in the fight against corruption in the church and the society.
We were conscious of the fact that Pentecostal Christian leaders do not engage deeply on social issues and in the fight against corruption. So we started by doing a research on the Bible, and we discovered 115 Bible scriptures that talk against corruption. And we trained for the past 7 years over 8,000 Pentecostal Christian leaders on what corruption is to a Christian, the drivers of corruption within and outside the church, and the responsibility of Christians to join the fight against corruption. We established that the call of God upon the life of a Christian and a minister particularly is to minister both to the spiritual and the social needs of the people. Over the past 7 years, we've been able to make it possible for over 300 churches to establish the social arm of the church.
In his remarks, Country Director, MacArthur Foundation, Kole Shetima, said the project has achieved significant success as more faith-based organizations have become more involved in discussions around corruption in the country.
So I am not happy. I'm bitter that it's coming to an end, but I'm very glad that the structures is there to continue to the work that is being done, and that the community has embraced this issue as a critical and very important issue that they want to continue. And I think that that is the most important legacy that all of you are living and all of us are living in this field of work of anti-corruption analysis.
Beneficiaries of the project over the years spoke on their journey as agents for social justice, transparency, accountability, and equity in the society.
In the past, when you see an NGO doing something, you say, well, let's say, what are they doing there? But this coming from a church, a local church, a Pentecostal church like ours, also, it gladdens our heart. At the beginning, we didn't understand. And just like Deacon Ekioba said, it's like, what are you talking about? We are spirit-filled, we carry Bible, we preach, we cast out demons, we bind and loose things and all. What are you talking about? But by the time this project started, and then level by level, step by step, we started seeing closely, especially, it started by making us to understand that this is biblical. This is grounded in the Bible. So it's not talking something vague, something from the moon. It's in the Bible you carry. And you know that for us, when it's in the Bible, then you don't argue with it.
Corruption is something that is very bad. When you see it happening among believers, it's heart-wrenching. Coming to this program has opened my eyes. I am so bold to speak to whoever is involved, and I will tell the person this is the right thing to do, whether you like it or not.
I noticed that you can't fight corruption from the back. You have to be the leader. You have to come to leadership, because that's one of the things we learned. So since that 2018, we have been sponsoring people to go ahead and occupy leadership position, both in the community, both in the circular and everywhere.
Highlight of the event was the public presentation of the final report on the Shun Corruption Project. Gloria Atta reporting for Clearview News.
A 2-year debt justice campaign by Christian Aid Nigeria in partnership with CISLAC and Tax Justice and Governance Platform has highlighted the increasing role of private creditors in Nigeria's debt crisis and its devastating human effects. Speaking at the closeout ceremony, the country director Christian Aid UK Nigeria, Temitope Fashola, said the organization have produced 2 knowledge products that highlighted the increasing role of private creditors in Nigeria's debt crisis and its human and social costs as part of its efforts towards complementing this concern and the implications of poor tax expenditure governance on debt management. Clearview's correspondent brings us details. Nigeria currently grapples with its worst economic situation in decades, marked by a consistent decline in federal government revenue and a skyrocketing debt burden. The country's debt has reached a staggering 121 trillion naira, with a debt-to-GDP ratio of 49.5% and a debt-to-revenue ratio of 68%, far exceeding the recommended threshold. The government has relied heavily on loans from commercial banks, often under unfavorable terms, to bridge budgetary shortfalls. This has resulted in unsustainable debt servicing costs, diverting funds away from critical sectors like education, health, agriculture, and social welfare.
We know that Nigeria is in a very difficult economic situation as we speak. So we have to consciously manage our economic situation so that we don't inflict more pain on ordinary citizens through borrowing. And that's why for us, for the last 2 years, we've done some work to really understand Nigeria's debt profile and its implication on ordinary citizens and what we can do differently to ensure that we can change that paradigm. I know there are other engaging advocacies going on, not just in Nigeria, but even regionally and globally, around issues around debt forgiveness and so on, not just for Nigeria, but for a number of African countries. But it's important that we also internally think through what ways we can really manage our debt profile that will not affect us on the long term like it did in the early 2000s.
And this situation is precipitated mostly by our debt crisis, right? And what is contributing to this debt crisis? Quite a number of issues. Firstly, is the fact that we are failing to formulate realistic budgets. So our budgets are overbloated, and so you have huge budget deficits because your revenue is way lower than your expenditure. And then when you have budget deficits, those budgets have to be financed through borrowings. Now, borrowings are typical everywhere, but the Nigerian situation is that while we may have the opportunity to borrow from domestic markets, from bilateral creditors, from multilateral creditors, our opportunity to access those loans keeps shrinking because we are a low-income country. For that reason, we find ourselves at the mercy of private creditors. Private creditors offer non-concessional loans. These are loans that have very high interest rates, loans that basically have no moratoriums, more often than not, and they have very short maturity periods. So your repayment periods are very short. Now, while they may not take up as much of our debt profile as the multilateral and bilateral lenders, they take up a significant percentage of our debt servicing costs. And now this comes at an expense of financing critical social sectors like education, like health, like agriculture, like social welfare. And so while you're taking this away, while you're reducing funding for these, it has implications for human rights.
Nigeria's economic future hangs a balance, hence it's imperative that the government and stakeholders take immediate action to address the debt crisis and ensure a sustainable economic future for generations to come. Christian Aid Nigeria and its partners are working towards a collective agenda to strengthen debt transparency and accountability in Nigeria. It called on policymakers and stakeholders to join forces on promoting a policy shift that reduces the country's over-reliance on borrowing. Florence Joshua reporting for Clearview News Desk. The president of the Nigerian Labour Congress (NLC), Joe Ajero, has declared that the union will not be intimidated by external pressures following his appearance at the Intelligence Response Team headquarters in Abuja this Thursday. Ajero, who was invited by the police to address allegations of terrorism financing, cybercrime subversion, criminal conspiracy and treasonable felony, arrived at the IRT headquarters in company of prominent human rights lawyer Femi Falana, SAN, activist Deji Adeyanju, and other senior NLC officials at 10:17 a.m. and left shortly after 11:15 a.m. Speaking to journalists at the Labour House after leaving the police headquarters, Ajaro asserted that the NLC remains committed to defending the rights of Nigerian workers and will not be cowed by any form of intimidation. If you're just joining us, you're watching the news on Clever News Desk. We will be back after this break.
Congratulations! Your number one independent radio station is 30.
Great power!
30 years of private to commercial radio, 30 years of infotainment, 30 years we've made you smile, made you laugh, made you dance. We have been your friend. We talked to and with you and enjoyed listening to you. We have agreed and disagreed, but never broken your trust. 30 years we've delivered programs excellently. Not just 100%, but 100.5.
Great power!
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
Welcome back. American actor and wrestler John Cena has revealed that his biggest fear is that he would never be ready to be a great parent. The 47-year-old, who has been married twice without kids, explained that he would never be ready to invest the time needed to be a great parent. Recall that John Cena got married to Elizabeth on July 11, 2009, on May 1, 2012, and later filed for divorce, which was finalized on July 18th, and on October 12, 2020, John Cena married girlfriend Shay, whom he had been dating since early 2019, in a private ceremony in Tampa, Florida. However, both marriages did not produce kids. And that's the news, but before we go, a recap of the top stories. American actor and wrestler John Cena has revealed that his biggest fear is that he would never be ready to be a great parent. A 30-year-old man identified as Chinonso has been arrested by security operatives for allegedly defiling a 7-year-old girl in Awka, Anambra State's capital. Following a viral video clip which surfaced online on Tuesday showing a Canadian-Nigerian woman making threatening comments against Yoruba and Benin people during a virtual meeting on TikTok, Canadian-based Nigerian woman has dismissed the possibility of arrest or deportation. You can follow up on latest events and happenings around you via our social media platforms on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Clearview News Desk, or via our handle on X, formerly known as Twitter at Clearview Online. Many thanks for watching. I am Florence Joshua. Bye for now.